everybody. Welcome back to Chapter Day. We've missed a few days, but in all fairness, we had a really big storm yesterday, so there was that going on. So we didn't do a recording of Little Women yesterday. So we're back today and glad to be here. Plus, it was kind of nice to take a little break from picking up sticks. So I am excited to read Chapter 3 of Louisa May Alcott's classic Little Women. Chapter 3 is called The Lawrence Boy. Joe, where are you? Cried Meg at the foot of the garret stairs. Here, answered a husky voice from above. And running up, Meg found her sister eating apples and crying over the heir of Redcliffe, wrapped up in a comforter on an old three-legged sofa by the sunny window. This was Joe's favorite refuge, and here she loved to retire with half a dozen russets and a nice book, to enjoy the quiet and the society of a pet rat who lived nearby, and didn't mind her a particle. As Meg appeared, Scrabble whiskered into his hole. Joe shook the tears off her cheeks and waited to hear the news. Such fun! Only see! A regular note of invitation from Mrs. Gardner for tomorrow night, cried Meg, waving the precious paper, and then proceeding to read it with girlish delight. Mrs. Gardner would be happy to see Miss March and Miss Josephine at a little dance on New Year's Eve. Marmee is willing we should go. Now what shall we wear? What's the use of asking that, when you know we shall wear our poplins because we haven't got anything else, answered Jo with her mouth full. Oh, if only I had a silk, Meg sighed. Mother says I may when I'm 18, perhaps, but 2 years is an everlasting time to wait. I'm sure our pops look like silk, and they're nice enough for us. Yours is as good as new, but I forgot the burn and tear in mine. Whatever shall I do? The burn shows horribly, and I can't take any out. You must sit still all you can, and keep your back out of sight. The front is all right. I shall have a new ribbon for my hair, and Marmee will lend me her little pearl pen, and my new slippers are lovely, and my gloves will do, though they aren't as nice as I'd like. Mine are spoilt with lemonade, and I can't get any new ones, so I shall have to go without, said Jo, who never troubled herself much about dress. You must have gloves, or I won't go, cried Meg decidedly. Gloves are more important than anything else. You can't dance without them, and if you don't, I should be so mortified. Then I'll stay still. I don't care much for company dancing. It's no fun to go sailing around. I like to fly about and cut capers. You can't ask Mother for new ones. They're so expensive, and you're so careless. She said when you spoilt the others that she shouldn't get you any more this winter. Can't you fix them anyway? Said Meg anxiously. I can hold them crunched up in my hand so no one will know how stained they are. That's all I can do. No, I'll tell you how we can manage. Each wear one good one and carry a bad one, don't you see? Your hands are bigger than mine, and you will stretch my glove dreadfully, began Meg, whose gloves were a tender point with her. Then I'll go without. I don't care what people say, cried Jo, taking up her book. You may have it, you may. Only don't stain it, and do behave nicely. Don't put your hands behind you or stare or say Christopher Columbus, will you? Don't worry about me. I'll be as prim as a dish and not get into any scrapes if I can help it. Now go and answer your note and let me finish this splendid story. So Meg went away to accept with thanks, look over her dress, and sing blithely as she did up her one real lace frill, while Jo finished her story, her 4 apples, and had a game of romps with Scrabble. On New Year's Eve, the parlor was deserted, for the 2 younger girls played dressing maids, and the 2 elder were absorbed in the all-important business of getting ready for the party. Simple as the toilets were, there was a great deal of rushing up and down, laughing and talking, and at one time a strong smell of burnt hair pervaded the house. Meg wanted a few curls about her face, and Jo undertook to pinch the papered locks with a pair of hot tongs. Ought they to smoke like that? Asked Beth from her perch on the bed. It's the dampness drying, replied Jo. What a queer smell. It's like burnt feathers, observed Amy, smoothing her own pretty curls with a superior air. There, now I'll take off the papers, and you'll see a cloud of little ringlets, said Joe, putting down the tongs. She did take off the papers, but no cloud of ringlets appeared, for the hair came off with the papers, and the horrified hairdresser laid a row of little scorched bundles on the bureau beside her victim. Oh! Oh, what have you done? I'm spoiled! I can't go! My hair! Oh, my hair! Wailed Meg, looking with despair at the uneven frizzle on her forehead. Just my luck. You shouldn't have asked me to do it. I always spoil everything. I'm no end sorry, but the tongs were too hot, and so I've made a mess, groaned poor Joe, regarding the black pancakes with tears of regret. It isn't spoil. Just frizzle it and tie your ribbon so the ends come up on your forehead a little bit, and it will look like the latest fashion. I've seen lots of girls do it, said Amy consolingly. Oh, serves me right for trying to be fine. I wish I'd let my hair alone, cried Meg petulantly. So do I. It was so smooth and pretty. But it will grow out again, said Beth, coming to kiss and comfort the shorn sheep. After various lesser mishaps, Meg was finished at last, and by the united exertions of the family, Joe's hair was got up and her dress on. They looked very well in their simple suits, Meg in silvery drab with a blue velvet snood, lace frills, and the pearl pin. Joe in maroon, with a stiff, gentlemanly linen collar, and a white chrysanthemum or two for her only ornament. Each put on one nice, light glove, and carried one soiled one, and all pronounced the effect quite easy and nice. Meg's high-heeled slippers were dreadfully tight and hurt her, though she would not own it, and Joe's 19 hairpins all seemed stuck straight into her head, which was not exactly comfortable, but, dear me, let us be elegant or die. Have a good time, dearies, said Mrs. March, as the sisters went daintily down the walk. Don't eat much supper, and come away at 11, when I send Hannah for you. As the gate clashed behind them, a voice cried from a window, Girls! Girls, have you both got your nice pocket handkerchiefs? Yes, spandy nice, and Meg has cologne on hers, cried Joe, adding with a laugh as they went on. I do believe Marmee would ask us if we were all running away from an earthquake. It is one of her aristocratic tastes, and quite proper, for a real lady is always known by neat boots, gloves, and handkerchief, replied Meg, who had a good many little aristocratic tastes of her own. Now, don't forget to keep the bad breath out of sight, Joe. Is my sash right? And does my hair look very bad? Said Meg, as she turned from the glass in Mrs. Gardner's dressing room after a prolonged prink. I know I shall forget. If you see me doing anything wrong, you just remind me by a wink, will you? Returned Joe, giving her collar a twitch and her head a hasty brush. No, winking isn't ladylike. I'll lift my eyebrows if anything is wrong, and nod if you're all right. Now, hold your shoulders straight and take short steps, and don't shake hands if you are introduced to anyone. It isn't the thing. How do you learn all the proper quirks? I never can. Oh, isn't the music gay? Down they went, feeling a little timid, for they seldom went to parties. And informal as this little gathering was, it was an event to them. Mrs. Gardner, stately old lady, greeted them kindly, and handed them over to the eldest of her 6 daughters. Meg knew Sally and was at her ease very soon. But Joe, who didn't care much for girls or girlish gossip, stood about with her back carefully against the wall, and felt as much out of place as a colt in a flower garden. Half a dozen jovial lads were talking about skates in another part of the room, and she longed to go and join them, for skating was one of the joys in her life. She telegraphed her wish to Meg, but the eyebrows went up so alarmingly that she dared not stir. No one came to talk to her, and one by one the group near her dwindled away till she was left alone. She did not roam about and amuse herself, for the burnt breath would show, so she stared at people rather forlornly till the dancing began. Meg was asked at once, and the tight slippers tripped about so briskly that none would have guessed the pain their wearer suffered smilingly. Jo saw a big red-headed youth approaching her corner, and fearing he meant to engage her, she slipped into a curtained recess, intending to peep and enjoy herself in peace. Unfortunately, another bashful person had chosen the same refuge, for as the curtain fell behind her, she found herself face to face with the Lawrence boy. "Oh, dear me, I didn't know anyone was here," stammered Jo, preparing to back out as speedily as she had bounded in. But the boy laughed, and said pleasantly, though he looked a little startled, "Oh, don't mind me. Stay if you like." "Shan't I disturb you?" "Not a bit. I only came here because I don't know many people, and felt rather strange at first, you know." "So did I. Don't go away, please, unless you'd rather." The boy sat down again and looked at his boots, till Jo said, trying to be polite and easy, "I think I've had the pleasure of seeing you before. You live near us, don't you?" "Next door." And he looked up and laughed outright, for Jo's prim manner was rather funny when he remembered how they had chatted about cricket when he brought the cat home. That put Jo at her ease, and she laughed too, as she said in her heartiest way, "We did have such a good time over your nice Christmas present." "Grandpa sent it." "But you put it into his head, didn't you now?" How is your cat, Miss March?" asked the boy, trying to look sober, while his black eyes shone with fun. "Nicely, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. But I ain't Miss March. I'm only Jo, returned the young lady. "I'm not Mr. Lawrence. I'm only Laurie." "Laurie Lawrence? What an odd name." "My first name is Theodore, but I don't like it, for the fellows called me Dora. So I made 'em call me Laurie instead." "I hate my name, too. So sentimental. I wish everyone would just say Jo instead of Josephine. How did you make the boys stop calling you Dora?" "I thrashed 'em." "Oh, I can't thrash Mrs. March, so I suppose I shall have to bear it," said Jo, resigning herself with a laugh. Don't you like to dance, Miss Jo?" asked Laurie, looking as if he thought the name suited her. "I like it well enough if there's plenty of room and everyone is lively. In a place like this, I'm so sure to upset something and tread on people's toes or do something dreadful. So I keep out of mischief and let Meg do the pretty. Don't you dance?" "Sometimes. You see, I've been abroad a good many years, and I haven't been about enough yet to know how you do things here." "Abroad?" cried Jo. "Oh, tell me about it. I love dearly to hear people describe their travels." Laurie didn't seem to know where to begin, but Jo's eager questions soon got him going, and he told her how he had been to school in Vevey, where the boys never wore hats, and had a fleet of boats on the lake, and for holiday fun they went on walking trips about Switzerland with their teachers. "Oh, don't I wish I'd been there," cried Jo. "Did you go to Paris?" "We spent last winter there." "Can you talk French?" "We were not allowed to speak anything else at Vevey." "Do say some. I can read it, but I can't pronounce." "Quel nom était, jeune demoiselle, en les pantoufles jolies?" I'm not sure I said that. So if you speak French, please don't judge. Laurie said good-naturedly, "How nicely you do it. Let me see. You said, 'Who is the young lady in the pretty slippers?' didn't you?" "Oui, mademoiselle." "It's my sister Margaret, and you knew it was. Do you think she's pretty?" "Yes, she makes me think of the German girls. She looks so fresh and quiet and dances like a lady." Jo quite glowed with pleasure at this boyish praise of her sister, and stored it up to repeat to Meg. Both peeped and criticized and chatted till they felt like old acquaintances. Laurie's bashfulness soon wore off, for Jo's gentlemanly demeanor amused and set him at ease, and Jo was her merry self again, because her dress was forgotten, and nobody lifted their eyebrows at her. She liked the Lawrence boy better than ever, and took several good looks at him, so that she might describe him to the girls, for they had no brothers, very few male cousins, and boys were an almost unknown creature to them. Curly black hair, brown skin, big black eyes, long nose, nice teeth, little hands and feet, tall as I am, very polite for a boy, and altogether jolly. Wonder how old he is." It was on the tip of Jo's tongue to ask, but she checked herself in time, and with unusual tact, tried to find out in a roundabout way. "I suppose you'll be going to college soon. I see you pegging away at your books. No, I mean studying hard." And Jo blushed at the dreadful pegging which had escaped her. Laurie smiled, but didn't seem shocked, and answered with a shrug. "Not for 2 or 3 years yet. I won't go before 17, anyway." "Aren't you but 15?" asked Jo, looking at the tall lad, whom she had imagined 17 already. 16 next month." "Oh, how I wish I was going to college. You don't look as if you liked it." "I hate it. Nothing but grinding or skylarking, and I don't like the way fellows do either in this country." "What do you like?" "To live in Italy, and to enjoy myself in my own way." Jo very much wanted to ask what his own way was, but his black brows looked rather threatening as he knit them. So they changed the subject by saying, as her foot kept time, "That's a splendid polka. Why don't you go and try it?" If you'll come too," he answered, with a queer little French bow. "I can't, for I told Meg I couldn't because—" And there Jo stopped, and looked undecided whether to tell or to laugh. "Because what?" asked Laurie curiously. "You won't tell?" "Never." "Well, I have a bad trick of standing before the fire, and so I burn my frocks. And I scorched this one, and though it's nicely mended, it shows. And Meg told me to keep still so no one would see it. You may laugh if you want to. It is funny, I know." But Laurie didn't laugh. He only looked down a minute, and the expression on his face puzzled Jo, when he said very gently, "Never mind that. I'll tell you how we can manage. There's a long hall out there, and we can dance grandly, and no one will see us. Please come." And that, my friends, is where we will end for today. All right? We will finish Chapter 3, The Lawrence Boy, tomorrow. So I hope that you're all doing well and that you all weathered the storm well, and that you're not too exhausted from carrying all those sticks. So thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow to finish up Chapter 3 of Little Women. Take care.